This is a Truth Transforms Truth Nugget, a daily dose of truth for your daily transformation. Today's Truth Nugget, we're going to look at the Lord's discipline and see that we should be grateful for His discipline. It is not something to be despised. We should be grateful for His discipline because it shows that He loves us. We see that in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 11 and 12. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline or be weary of His reproof. For the Lord reproves him whom He loves, as a father the son in whom He delights. God disciplines us because He loves us. God disciplines His children. And if you're not being disciplined, it's not a good sign. The trials that we have are trials that come from the Lord as part of His discipline to conform us to the image of Christ. We see this quoted in Hebrews. We'll take a pit stop first in Deuteronomy. Oh, no, I went to Hebrews first. Hebrews 12, and we see it right here quoted. Let's back up a little bit, though. The encouragement here is for us to not grow weary. Consider Him who endured from sinners such hostility against Himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted in your struggle against sin. You have not resisted to the point of shedding your blood. Jesus shed His blood. Jesus suffered greatly for us, and that is what this is pointing to. And have you forgotten the exhortation that addresses you as sons? My son, do not regard lightly the discipline of the Lord, nor be weary when reproved by Him. For the Lord disciplines the one whom He loves and chastises every son whom He receives. So the trials that we go through, whatever it is that you're facing, it is part of the process of walking with the Lord and growing in sanctification. It is for discipline that you have to endure. God is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom his father does not discipline? If you are left without discipline in which all have participated, then you are illegitimate children and not sons. So if you are in Christ and you are experiencing trials, it is because you are a son of God, a daughter of God, and being disciplined to be conformed to the image of Christ. And we're told down in verse 11, for the moment, all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant, but it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. It yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. God is doing a work in you. God is doing a work through you, and through the pain and the trials and suffering that might be occurring in your life right now. Deuteronomy touches on this. Deuteronomy 8, verse 5. Know then in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, the Lord your God disciplines you. So you shall keep the commandments of the Lord your God by walking in His ways and by fearing Him. We are to obey God from the heart, to keep His commandments, and we ought to do it out of our love for Him and love for His commandments, love for His law, love for righteousness that He has placed in our hearts. Lastly, let's look at James. James chapter 1, verse 2. We see that we're to count it all joy, my brothers, James says, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. So we're told to count it all joy when we experience trials of various kinds. These are trials of all different kinds, and we're to count it all joy because God is building steadfastness in us. He is building endurance. He is working in our heart and building character, conforming us to the image of Christ. And it goes on and it talks about wisdom in verse 5. If anyone of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. And that wisdom there is directly connected to the trials and the suffering that we endure. We can ask God for wisdom to walk through these trials, and God will grant that wisdom in an abundance. He will not hold back. And that is what we need to remember, especially if we look at the book of Proverbs, which is filled with such great wisdom. We need to remember what wisdom is really for, and wisdom is to live the godly life. Wisdom is to walk to follow the Lord and to walk in righteousness and to walk in his ways, and we need wisdom for that, and God has given us wisdom in his word, and we need to seek that wisdom each and every day in his word and in prayer. And he says that if we ask for wisdom, he will pour it out in an abundance. Well, I pray that was a blessing. Let's apply this in our lives today and be seeking for God's wisdom in whatever is going on in your life right now. And thank God for the fact that his discipline is demonstrating that he loves you as his child and is working to conform you to become more like Christ. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow.